Alright guys, and welcome back to another notes video. We're talking about dimensional analysis today, and this is the final lesson that we have before we take our test for Unit 2. So we've talked about measurements, recording equipment, we've talked about units, we've talked about Sig Figs. Last class we talked about density, and this class we're wrapping it up with dimensional analysis. But here's the deal, guys, is all of this stuff that we've been learning, it's not like we can not learn one thing and be okay for the next thing, if that makes sense. So maybe whereas in biology you could learn something for one test and then forget about it, or maybe even if you didn't really learn it to begin with, you would still have a chance to be successful the next unit. Chemistry, unfortunately, does not work that way. So if we are starting to struggle or see we're in a place where we really don't know what's going on, it's going to be crucial that we get to where we need to be, because dimensional analysis we will use the entire rest of the school year. So you're going to see it again in Unit 3, you'll see it in Unit 5, and then many future units you will see dimensional analysis be a part of it. So that's why we're taking time here early in the school year to make sure that we understand it. If you feel good about dimensional analysis, chemistry is going to be a breeze for you the rest of the year. If you do not, you will struggle and are honestly maybe better off restarting the school year if dimensional analysis is not something that you're understanding. So with that said, you're probably wondering, Coach, what is dimensional analysis? So let's get right into it. First off, it's a problem-solving technique. And it's a problem-solving technique specifically used to help us convert units. So Ms. Scoggin in the last video did a real good job talking about when we have milliliters and things like grams. I think, grams per milliliter is obviously the unit there, but that doesn't do us any good if we give you a question that's in kilograms, right? Is kilograms a part of this? No. So we would have to be able to convert kilograms into grams. Same thing. What if instead of milliliters, I gave you like kiloliters, or even just regular old liters? Would that go into our density equation? No. So that's why converting to the appropriate units is so important to be able to do in chemistry, because you're not going to get the correct answer otherwise. So it uses conversion factors that basically help us cancel out unwanted units. A perfect example of canceling something out is like in math class. Y'all probably took Algebra 1 either last year or maybe the year before. And one of the big things you learn early on in algebra is that if you need to cancel something, that means you have one on the top and one on the bottom. Those cancel out, and we put one on the top and bottom. We put one on the top and one on the bottom so that they do exactly that, so that they cancel out, leaving the desired units. So you're going to see that word desired unit down here in a little bit. Now, you ever wondered how many inches was in 3 feet, or not just 3 feet, but maybe 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet? I'm 6 foot tall. 6 foot 4 inches tall, so I could figure out how many total inches that is, because I know that there's 12 inches in 1 foot. So if I was 6 foot 4, I could figure that out pretty easily. And yeah, I could probably do that in my head without actually doing dimensional analysis. But later on in the school year, let me throw one number at you here. Oops. 6.02 times 10 to the 23rd power. Would you want to do math like that in your head, or would you rather learn the process? And so I think, obviously, no one wants to do this kind of math in their head. If you're not sure what this number is or how large it actually is, again, it's called Avogadro's number. We'll be dealing with it later in the school year. But that times 10 to the 23rd tells me I need to move this decimal 23 times. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've only moved the decimal 9 times, and I'm already out of space. So this number is ginormous. The calculators will do it for us. We just have to know how to set it up. So with that said, the example that we have right here for you, I love this example because it's visual. You see pictures of pineapples, oranges, lemons, strawberries, and peaches. And I like it that it's very visual. You can see pineapple on top, pineapple on bottom. Well, just like up here, if we have an X on top and an X on bottom, we cancel those out. Okay? So what's this hypothetical question? I don't even remember. Let's read this. Your grandmother decided to make a fruit salad. Okay, so fruit salad. There's obviously going to be a lot of fruits in it. If she had 5 pineapples, so we're assuming that grandma only has 5 pineapples. We're wondering how many peaches would she need, okay, to keep her proportions good. Because proportions, just like if you're cooking something, you need the right ingredients. Well, in chemistry, we need the right ingredients also. So the first ingredient, whatever was given to us in the problem, that given, we always put it right here. The given always goes in the first spot of dimensional analysis. And you get 1 point of credit just for doing that. So even if you don't know what the rest of this mumbo jumbo is, hey, at least I've got 1 point. Now, this particular question is worth 6 points. So if that's all I did was put the 5 pineapples, I would get 1 out of 6 points. Which I know may not sound great, but hey, if you don't put it at all, you're going to get a 0. So the easiest thing you have is just to put whatever they give us in the problem right at the beginning. Anyway, you'll see more of that as we go on. Now, where do we finish? I did all these steps in here, and look, I got a 2nd point, a 3rd point, 4th, 5th point. I got 5 points just for getting to peaches. Now, why did I stop at peaches? Well, let's go back. If she had 5 pineapples, how many peaches could she make? So the peaches is what we want. That's what we're going to refer to as our desired unit. So that's why I stopped right here at peaches. I went from pineapples, so I went pineapples to orange. Then I went orange to lemon. We went lemon to strawberry. And finally, we went strawberries to peaches. Because look, I know all these amounts. I know that and I don't know this is just grandma's recipe, but whatever her recipe is, it requires for every 1 pineapple that she uses to also use 1 orange. Now, lemons. If she's going from lemons, she's not going to use a bunch of lemons because they're probably really sour and you don't want to put too many of them. So she's only going to do 1 lemon for every 3 oranges in the recipe. Now, strawberries, she's got a little bit more strawberry ratio than she does lemons. And that makes sense. Again, I would like more strawberries than lemons. I don't know about you. But her ratio there is for every 2 lemons, she's going to use 3 strawberries. All right. Now, last part here, she's going from strawberries to our desired unit. And it looks like her ratio there is 4 to 2, which sounds good. I like peaches as well, but that sounds like a good ratio. Now, the math, everything cancels out to leave us with peaches. You can see the pineapples canceled, the oranges canceled, the lemons canceled, the strawberries canceled, leaving us with peaches. Now, how the heck did Grandma get this number? Oops. That's 1.25. Where's that number coming from? Well, if you take your calculators and you set parentheses for every bracket there is, you're going to have a set of parentheses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of parentheses. And it's really simple. The first number is just a 5. So that's what you put there is 5. Then you put 1 divided by 1 or 1 over 1. Right here we have 1 over 3. So you can put 1 divided by 3 in your calculators. Right here you got 3 over 2. 3 over 2. Right here we have 2 over 4. Now, you could do this math in your head without a calculator, But if you want to use your calculators to be safe, this is how you would do it. But obviously, guys, you're not going to be able to do crazy numbers with math, like this one up here, without a calculator. So at some point, it will behoove us to learn how to use a calculator to do that. But with that said, 5 times 1 over 1, well, that's just 1. So 5 times 1 is 5. And then we're going times 1 over 3. Well, 5 times 1 over 3, that would be what? That would be 5/3. And then we're multiplying times 3 over 2. So let's see, we would be sitting at 15 over 10. And I'm going to go ahead and reduce 15 over 10 to 3 over 2. And then we multiply by 1/2 or 2/4, either way you look at it. And we end up getting 1.25 as our final answer. It was 1 1/4. So we have 1.25 peaches. All right. Now, moving on to an actual different example. This question's easy. We're starting off with a basic one. This one would only be worth 3 points. You'd get 1 point for putting the given. So go ahead and put the given right there. We have $2 or 2 doll hairs, as I like to refer to them. So you get a point for that. We're going to get a point here for converting. And then we'll get a 3rd point for our final answer. Okay, so dollars, we're converting $2, which is the given, to dimes. Now, we have dollars and dimes. We're going to go from dollars to dimes, but what would happen if I did it this way? Okay, if I have dollars on top, where do I have dollars here? I accidentally put that on top. So luckily I have whiteout to fix this mistake. But the question I have for you, if that doesn't make sense, is would I be able to cancel it out if I had both of them on top? And if you learned anything in algebra last year, you would obviously know that no. The only way we can cancel something is if we have one on top and one on bottom. So we're going to go from dollars, or doll hairs, into dimes. Now, you should know this, guys, how many dimes are in a dollar. But in $1, there are, well, it's worth 10 cents, right? So 10 cents, that's going to mean there's 10 dimes in $1. So we have successfully set up, guys, our first dimensional analysis problem. So congratulations. The way you would plug this into the calculator would be as follows. Your first set of parentheses, you would have a 2. And I know most of y'all can do this one in your head, so this might be a little bit excessive, but I do want you to get used to knowing how you would set it up. You would take 10 over 1, which is just 10, and multiply that by 2. So there would be 20 dimes as our final answer. Now, I have to stop here and take a minute to discuss what would happen if this is all you put. Okay, if you do not show this, you're not going to get those points. Plus, if you don't show this, even though I know you can do this in your head, as teachers, we are going to decide that you cheated and because you did not show work, and you would get 0 points, even if this is correct. So hear me now and hear me loud. You have to show the process here. We have to say, okay, 1, I put my given. Step 2, I went to the next unit. Now we're done there because that just so happened to be my desired unit. But if it wasn't, you would keep going. You're going to see on the next page we have more steps to go through. So this one, we're actually going to convert 365 days into seconds. So how long is this problem, Coach? Well, shoot, let's get it set up. It's going to be much longer than this because I don't know how many seconds are in one day. Do y'all? If you do, I'd be impressed. But just start with, and going through the process, we know that we're trying to figure out our given. Again, our given was 365 days, so we get 1 point there. We're going to get a second point for converting the next one. And I don't know how long this is. I'm going to stop right in there, and I can make it longer if we need. But what do we know? How can I go in the right direction here? I obviously don't know how many seconds are in a day, or I'd put it right here. What do we know about a day, though? We do know that how many hours are in a day, right? So what if I put days down here to cancel it out? Then I went to hours. Okay? How many hours are in a day? Well, one day contains, as you should know, 24 hours. All right. Is that my desired unit? No. Our desired unit is whatever it asks us for in the question, and it wants seconds. So seconds is my desired unit. I'm not going to stop until I get to seconds. So let's make it a little bit longer. Okay. Did we successfully cancel out a unit? Yes. And for those of y'all that are real color coordinated with what you like to do, using different markers and stuff on your notes and on your homework and quizzes and everything, I like to use a different color to cancel it out. So you'll see me do that on a lot of our answer keys. But we've canceled out days. So now we're at hours. Does anybody know how many seconds are in 1 hour? I mean, maybe you could figure it out. I don't know that directly, but I do know how to go from hours to minutes. Okay? How many hours are in a minute, or how many minutes are in an hour? Okay, which way does it go there? I know that 1 hour consists of 60 minutes. Now, what unit did I just cancel out? Canceled out the hours, right? Well, what unit are we at currently? Minutes? That's not our desired unit, though. We are getting close, though. As you can tell, this next step, and this will be the final step. So this question so far is worth 1, 2, 3. We've already earned 3 points, guys, and we do not have an answer. So now that I've seen where we're at, I can tell, I know how many points this question's worth now. This would be a 5-pointer. And we've already earned 3. We're going to earn a 4th here in just a second. And then our final answer will be the 5th point. So what is the last conversion? We're going to go from minutes. So again, make sure you put the one you're trying to cancel on the bottom. And we're going to go to seconds. So we just canceled out, well, almost. I need to put the numbers here. How many seconds are in 1 minute? Well, there's 60 seconds in 1 minute. So we successfully canceled out this unit here of minutes. So good job. We reached our desired unit. You can tell now because it ends with seconds. And so now all I have to do is plug this in the calculator, and I'll be good to go. So again, 365 would be in the first set of parentheses. Then we'd have 24 over 1. Okay. Then we would have 60 over 1. And then there's one more set of parentheses. 60 over 1 again. All right. All right. Now, very long answer here. It's telling me 31,536,000 seconds. Okay. Well, did I take into account Sig Figs? No, I didn't. Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sig Figs. These don't count because there's no decimal. So I would count from this direction, and yeah, these are 5 Sig Figs. How many sig figs do I want? Well, how many sig figs did we start with? This number here has 3 sig figs, so I want my final answer also to have 3 sig figs. So we have, essentially this is going to be 31.5 million. So we would write our final answer like this, and that's seconds. We can box that in. That is indeed our final answer here. Now I have earned 5 points. Let's go over a few hypotheticals again. What would happen if this was all you showed? You would get 0 points. All right. Here's the cool thing about partial credit, guys. What would happen if I accidentally messed up one of these numbers? Well, when the teacher's grading it, okay, we're looking at that. Okay, you'd get a point right there. Check. Check. Maybe you messed up here, so you wouldn't get a check mark there, but let's say that's correct. Guys, I've earned 3 points. Okay? And if your unit's correct, that's technically half a point for your number and half a point for your unit. So if we're being really lenient, we could give you 3.5 points, even though you messed up on part of it. So please don't see all of this as being strenuous to punish you. It's actually to help you out and give you partial credit. Please try to see the positive light on the other side of the tunnel, so to speak. Now, moving on, we're going to go to example 3 here. And this one asks, how many dozens would we need to buy 192 donuts? So, our desired unit is dozens. Our given is 192 donuts. So I'm going to put 192 donuts in the first spot, and then I'll draw my line, my bracket. And we start with donuts, but we don't want donuts. We want dozens, because that's usually how you buy donuts, is you buy donuts by the dozen. It'll cost you so many doll hairs per dozen. So if you wanted to purchase 192 donuts, we would go from donuts to dozen. And what's the ratio there, guys? How many donuts are in 1 dozen? Well, you should know that there's 12 donuts in a dozen. How about a baker's dozen? Well, that's 13. The baker likes to keep one for himself. Makes sense. Okay, but the final question doesn't even ask that. It wants to know how much it would run us, how much it would cost us, in other words, if we knew the price per dozen. So we're going to go from the dozen donuts to the doll hairs. And 1 dozen donuts, each dozen would cost us $6.25. So 6.25 doll hairs for 1 dozen. Now I can calculate what my final answer would be. Okay, guys, the math came out right there to 100 doll hairs. However, my Sig Figs, how many Sig Figs do I have here? Well, I've only got 1, technically. These are not significant because there's no decimal. And how many Sig Figs do I want? Well, what was our given? Our given was 192, which has 3 Sig Figs. So if I want 3 Sig Figs, how do I make this show 3 Sig Figs? Easy. Put a decimal at the end of it. Now we're counting from the other direction, giving us a final answer of $100. Now, we are actually going to scratch off example 4. I forgot to delete that one, but that one is more of a pre-AP level question because it's got derived units. If you remember last class, we talked about derived units being 2-parters, but in on-level, we're not responsible for that. So we are going to skip ahead to your practice problems. You have, I believe, 5 of these bad boys. Let's see, you've got, a total of 5 practice problems that we want you to work on. So this is your homework for next class. We expect you to come next class ready to discuss and share your answers on this. If you need help or tutorials, again, please get with your teacher to set that up. But we do need to know how this is done by next class. And if it helps, I'll show you how many points each question is worth. Number 1 would be worth a total of 3 points. All right. And as you can tell, number 2, practice problem number 2 is going to be worth a total of 5 points. So if you want to write this off to the side before you get started, this can be helpful. On practice problem 3, I wanted to provide you with some additional conversion ratios. It gives you the conversion ratio of centimeters to inches, but I also wanted to provide kilometers to meters, then meters to centimeters. Then that centimeters to inch becomes handy, and then you can finish it because the desired unit is feet. That's why that's quite a long problem. That's going to be worth a total of 6 points right there. So make sure you write that down before you leave. Okay, as well as this one. This is a nice, easy one. There's only 1 conversion, so that's worth a total of 3 points. And then this final practice problem, I need to tell you, and we will give these to you on the test. You may have these memorized, but 1 kilogram consists of 1,000 grams. That's what the word kilo means, is 1,000. And then we need to tell you in 1 gram that there are 1,000 milligrams. So milligrams are tiny. That's what your dosage of most medicines is given to you in milligrams. Okay? So that's the conversion ratios that you'll need there, which is why that's worth an extra point than the one before it. That's worth a total of 4 points. So, like I said, guys, be ready to share your answers and share your screen with your teacher, whether that be in person or face-to-face. And we will see you guys on the flippity flop. Have a good one.